Paris. City of love, romance, and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too. But ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death. I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
Ah, the talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father? He never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat.
My God, what? Monsieur Carchon!
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer. The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them. The door was locked. A Louis XIV table with an antique cloth. Imelda had taste. But hey, with a husband that rich, taste is easy. I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful. Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole. Even there was a tiny hole in the tabletop. Part of the inlay had been chipped away. Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that. It was a tube of acrylic paint, French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Coulard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything?
No, and frankly I preferred it that way. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronise me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Yes, that's why I do this job.
You do it to see your name in print.
As if my editor gets the byline, I just do the work.
Well, don't expect my sympathy.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Your husband invited me here today because he needed me. I think he knew somebody wanted to kill him, and he knew I could help.
I doubt it was your database he was after.
You're wrong. I was onto his killers already, I am sure of it. Please, you owe it to him.
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
You really do have a moral sense, don't you? I trust so few people. And perhaps Pierre really did think that you could help. Of course it wouldn't have stopped him seducing you too. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this. The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions. A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job. This was the work of the mime. Unless the cat was in on it too. A bust of Pierre Cauchon, humble servant of La France. Pierre Cauchon again. His eyes seemed to follow me around the room. Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him. His lifeless eyes stared blankly at nothing. Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend. Cauchon had been shot. In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now. It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down. His lifeless eyes. The door was locked. The door was locked. The door. Now we were getting somewhere. The painting showed the Cauchons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie? The painting was attached firmly to the wall. The painting... There was the very faintest of clicks. Behind the picture was a safe. The safe was locked. It was the wrong kind of key. The safe's lock was too secure for me to pick. How come it always works in movies, huh? No. It was the drawing room key. This wasn't the time for me to lie on the sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression, though it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why. As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision. My heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant. But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Carchon had known my father. They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it. I didn't want... The in-tray, like everything else in this place, was beautiful. One day I was going to have an in-tray like that, even if I had to sell my apartment to pay for it. I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was blank. The paint would have just soaked into the blotting paper, but the idea was good. Locked, not surprising, really. It didn't work, but I guess it would have been surprising if it had. This wasn't the time for me to lie on it, though it is very popular. The sofa was antique. For one horrible moment, I had an image of a naked Carchon wriggling around on it with a young journalist. Oh. It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. When I was the cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol. The cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol. No. No. I'd spread blue paint over the bottom of the tray. It was ruined. I was a very bad girl, but also quite a clever one. No. No. I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that in a way... No. 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 It was a back door. A medieval pageant. Original, no doubt. The tapestry must have cost a fortune. There was no one I needed to phone. Not until I had solved this case.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving. Do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend, something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No, but I think it was important to him, always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Just one thing. I know this is going to sound strange, but did your husband ever mention, did he ever talk to you about a penguin? Or a snowman?
What? I don't understand.
He never mentioned people dressed up as penguins.
Nico, I don't know what you're talking. My dear, you should go before the police arrive. There will be many awkward questions. I am grateful that you stayed. You've been so kind.
Please, call if there is anything I can do.
I'd misjudged her. She had every reason to be bitter, living with a guy like Carchon.
From the sound of it, no one and nothing was safe around him. Maybe I should have interrogated the cat after all. Madame Carchon,
Please call me Imelda. We hardly need the formalities now, do we?
Did Monsieur Carchon say nothing to you about my father?
No, I'm sorry. He never mentioned him.
So, her husband took secret boat trips. Did she really need to see the ticket? The last thing she needed to talk about was paint. Would you like to take the elephant back?
No, my dear. You should keep it.
Would you like to see my favourite hair clip?
What a ridiculous question. Of course not.
Huh. Another time, I guess.
Thank you. You have your own reason for taking the cloth. Please keep it.
Thank you. Let me give you the key back. I didn't need it anymore. I was sure that there was more to find. I just had to keep looking. Pierre Carchon was... no. 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 The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him. I didn't want to take the tray. In a way... no. 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 I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. No. No. I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already. I didn't... Even the light switch looked impressive. A bust of Pierre Cauchon. A bust of Pierre Cauchon.